I'm going to dig back in here, okay? Good. Okay. Let's go back here. That's finished. That is without. That is with. One thing I can tell from this is I'm definitely better off cleaning all my dust ahead of time, like especially that hair. I'm going to leave these settings, although actually I'm going to turn smoothing down because I know I don't like smoothing, and I'll turn artifact suppression up. These are just things I've picked up over time, and I'm going to hit cancel actually, so that hopefully this will come back to us here. Good. Okay. I'm going to get rid of some of my dust first. Let's grab our brush here. We're going to make that brush smaller. We don't need it near that big. 16 like that. Then I'll make it even a little smaller. Good. Ooh, oh, well, actually, that's ready to go. Okay, that's better. Let's see about this guy. Good. Much better. Now notice I'm doing this before I run that filter. Am I going to regret this? No, that actually looks okay. Let's get rid of these black ones while we're here. We'll go over, there's this weird smudgy thing here. I probably need a bigger brush for that. You're going to spend a lot of time, we used to call this dust busting. There's a funny thing about film. Maybe there's a lot of funny things about film. One is that film is a negative positive process. So when they take the original image, it becomes a negative. Now this is what that means. If dust falls on the negative and you print it, it becomes positive. It becomes bright white. If dust falls on the positive, it becomes black. So wherever you see black and white dots on stuff, that's dust that's been stuck in the negative and the positive. Digital gets rid of a lot of this, which is good. But this was before digital. So we have to go in and do a lot of dust busting. We used to pay people, I want to say it was 15 bucks an hour when the minimum wage was like 7.5. But we would pay them to sit there on film. Ooh, I'm going to regret that a little bit. And dust bust it and go through it frame by frame and remove all the noise and black and white specks and paint over it from previous images. Let's get there. So if we look now at the same thing, let's run the filter again. Filter, 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 filter. Sharpen, shake reduction. Okay. Now, it's a shame it didn't save my settings. I'm going to see if we can get away with it because we know roughly what they are. I'm going to put this over to here. And you see that's the quick blur estimation. I like that. We're going to turn down smoothing because I know I don't like it. We're going to turn up artifact suppression. We're going to turn blur trace bounds to about there. Then we're going to hit that preview button. We're going to boost up to 100%. And we're going to see if Adobe's magic algorithm saves us a whole bunch of work. Now remember, this is after I already ran the dust and scratches filter. So I already took out a lot. That's the first run, which is interesting because this is before it does all the correction to it. You see on the left half here how it's put it in the right place. We did get ringing on this guy's hat. Ringing being extra waves along there that we know weren't there on that sunny afternoon in Paris. I wonder if it's going to let us zoom in. Oh, it will. Look at that. I'm going to point out that rigging again. But something else I'm going to point out is where that weird white hair was. We no longer have a problem with that because we got rid of it first. So you probably want to do a bunch of dust busting. Come on, let's move around here. Before you apply this filter. or you're going to do a whole lot more after you apply the filter. I shouldn't laugh, but dust is dust is a natural enemy of film. I'll tell you something interesting. All the film processing and handling houses in Manhattan are they're very near the river for a couple of reasons. They need high humidity. You might not know this, but humidity over 55% keeps dust down. And I used to work in a place where it had to be 55% or higher every day because we wanted all the dust to fall and not be in the air. You know how on a dry day, if you look at a light beam, you see all the dust floating? That would all end up on film if you let it. So you have to have really careful environments when you're handling film. Also, I think I mentioned this, that I used to have to work with white cotton gloves for the same reason. The cotton gloves would attract the dust and attract the oil from your fingers. So I'd be in this humid room wearing white cotton gloves, handling this film for God knows how long. I pretty routinely worked 12 and 15 hours a day at that time. And that wasn't the worst of it, by the way. Not that I'm just sort of making up time while my processors spoodle away there. The worst of it was the film you're handling. It's called OCN, Original Camera Negative. So this is what they shot in the camera on set. And there's an old saying, which is that the producer's fortune is in the OCN. What that means is that that film is worth thousands of dollars a foot. Like if you mess it up, your career is finished. There's no question. I mean, they would have to reshoot. They'd have to get actors and things back. So when you get OCN, like you have to sign for it, and they put it in your hand as you sign for it, so they have a clear trail. And then I remember this: I would keep that in my hand, like that's staying in my hand until I get somewhere else and sign it out, because if something goes wrong, that's that. Things did go wrong sometimes, by the way, and you try to hide them. Actually, I don't really mind this because, hey, it wasn't a good film. In the film Battlefield Earth, a guy I worked with accidentally scratched like 1,000 feet of film by putting it through a cleaning machine incorrectly. And what we did, since it was an effect shot, is we did a wet gate transfer, which filled the crack, and then we scanned that, and then we put the film back in the can, and then signed it back to the people without ever telling them. But that was done far more competently than you'd think. The theory was they're never going to really look at it again. And to this day, I haven't heard anything about it. You think it's maybe coming back to us? Come on. Okay. Finally. Okay. Now let's check here. That's without. That's with. Without, with. I still don't love that hat. Though I like very much the outline here. Although I'm wondering if this collar... Oh no, look at that. The collar actually has a slight white thing in it there, and it still has it here. Okay. Now you'll notice the hair. There used to be a hair here. That's not a problem anymore. But all those other little pieces of dust, there, I would have been better off getting rid of those in the first place. I'm going to hit OK. Am I going to hit OK? Maybe I'll turn... No, I don't feel like it, because you'll have to watch that, which is not that interesting. So this would be... And we can layer ourselves back here. That's that, and that's the original. So we're going from here to here in 4 or 5 different steps. You'll notice that when we go here, we can make out that there are flowers down here, which is kind of interesting. We can sort of make out a pattern on the bricks. You can make out a pattern on the jacket. You can get a lot more out of this. What we have to do next is we have to start selecting areas to correct. And then we'll start selecting areas to color. to select an area to color. I'm going to show you so you can get to that if you want. I'm going to do Gauguin's jacket here, okay? And there's a few ways we'll do it. I'm going to show you one right now, and then we'll try some others. On this layer, let's get a selection of the jacket. So we'll start using our selection tools, and we'll see what they get for us. That's not bad. I'm going to hold down my Shift key and just kind of add to that selection. Okay, that's actually pretty good. This should come pretty easily, this part. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Not bad at all. What about down here? Huh. Huh. This is where the sharpening actually really helps. I can close this guy, I think. Sharpening. The blur removal, which is a type of sharpening. Oh, I hope we didn't lose that selection, did I? Let's undo there. Good. Because, oh, there's an ugly piece of dirt there, but I'll deal with that later. Because it's sharper, I'm able to do better selections on it. I'm going to take a look at the mask. Oh, that's funny. You see it's going back to the original, and you can see how that's compared. Let's cancel that, and let's turn that off, and let's try that again. That's better. Yes, see, that is Gauguin's jacket. Now, I might want to see if I want to, let's see what feathering does. No, it's actually better sharp, I think. If I shift my edge in or out, out gives me a little bit, it's a really good selection on its own. Let's do this. Let's turn it into a new layer. Edit, copy, edit, paste. We now have a layer, which we'll call his jacket. Okay. Now, there's a few things I can do. I can either color correct it, or I can paint it. I think I'm going to paint it. I might even want to do a safety of it. Let me just duplicate it. So in case I don't like this effect, I can go back. Duplicate, duplicate, duplicate. I'm always hunting for duplicate here. Let's try it there. Okay, so now I have a safety. I'm going to grab a big brush, and we're going to assume he had a green jacket. And when we do this, we're going to start to use something called painting modes. This is our normal mode, and actually watch what happens when I just, you see, that's obviously not what I want. But that's assuming I apply it as a normal layer. I instead could apply it as a lightning layer. That's not doing it. Let's try color burn. Nope. Maybe it's too dense. That's probably my fault. There should be a way to just use saturation. Yeah, thank God I kept a safety there. Finally, yes. This is showing me more where I want to be. Man, you think saturation would do it for me? That's actually, darken seems to be the one I'm looking for. And now you'll see I can paint with this. I should be able to use the selection. Although actually, let's go over here and go back to normal. There we go. So now this layer is only working as a darkening. I'll show you once I run through here a bit. I really should deal with that piece of dust. And you notice I don't have to be that accurate with this. There he is. Look at that. Gauguin decided to wear a bright green jacket that day. I always can duplicate this layer and do something else if I want to. Um, okay, folks, that's a lot of information you have there. We'll probably on Tuesday we'll do some more color correction stuff, but you've got to do some dust busting. You probably want to do some shake removal. You can play with sharpen, but again, use it very carefully because it adds noise. And then you want to start colorizing this image so it seems like a beautiful spring afternoon in Paris.